Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take another look here at Loopring, see what's going on. Obviously got a lot of requests based on its increase today. I think it was up over 40%. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that, of course, and just know, not a financial advisor. I love teaching people how to trade. I really hope you can learn something here today, of course, and if you want to learn more, become a better trader, CryptoCache.tech is a site. I have a trading academy, trading community, amazing group of folks there you get to work with every single day. And of course, I send out signals for every single trade that I take so you learn and understand how to effectively structure your trades in this environment. Because being a good trader isn't necessarily finding good entries and finding good exits. It's how to structure your trades the most effectively. Anyways, we cover all that stuff weekly in our roundtable discussions, etc. So really cool stuff. Thanks again to my current community members for requesting I cover this, but also just being amazing people in general. Thank you. Take a look here at LRC. Some obvious stuff here. Let's go ahead and touch on it. We obviously had a retracement from previous, I think it was Saturday/Sunday night, and we went ahead and saw the price come down to effectively test the 50-day simple moving average. Now it did break below and close below 2 days in a row, but with this doji candle kind of giving us an indication that the price is willing to turn around, the price obviously did. Okay. Now a lot of this has to do with the fundamentals, so we can't avoid the fact that partnerships with GameStop, etc. LRC has that tendency of taking off like this. So if you can kind of compare this with previous timeframes, there is a good chance we could see a continuation at a higher point, and that's it's not done pumping. All right. So just keep that in mind. LRC has a tendency to go on some significant runs, and we'll see here soon if that actually happens. But generally speaking, between now and then, what we want to understand is if now is a good entry target, or if we want to wait. All right. Do we want to wait for a pullback, or should now be a good time? Well, let's quickly just identify a couple things. Obviously, we're underneath the 200-day SMA, and this resistance level of 123 as a round number is effectively the previous resistance that has been tested 2 times this year. Okay, so back in January, back in February, we saw that tried twice to break above, couldn't do it, and now here it is trying again and couldn't do it. But keep in mind, the more often you test something, the more likely it is to break. And I have noticed that 3 or more times in most cases is more likely than the first or second. I know that kind of seems pretty obvious and redundant, but generally speaking, the more often you test something, the more likely it is to break. And I think the 3rd and or 4th attempt should be the push through. So we should expect this to break here soon, but we want to get a close above that to confidently feel good about taking entry, in my personal opinion. But once again, everyone has different schools of thought, right? So why not get in now? Why wait for confirmation? That's how some people think. Well, the price could pull back, and oftentimes it's better to be more safe than sorry. I'm more conservative myself personally, so I try not to risk and just jump in when something is, climbing. But there's also momentous trades too, and we can kind of look at that and see if that's an option here. That being said, if you just look at the RSI though, we're testing 70 on the RSI. That is tentatively holding as a resistance. It has notoriously worked as a resistance for a lot of coins, but Loopring, when it breaks above, it stays above. So we got to acknowledge the simple fact that a break above 70 on the RSI on a 1-day candlestick, or we'll just say a 1-day time frame, that would be the most effective understanding of the fact that we're actually breaking out and we're going to see a continuation of the upside. That to me is what I like to look for. We're not there yet because obviously we got a rejection at 123. Had the price closed up there, or say it does close up there at the end of today's trading day, then we'll probably be up over 70 on the RSI and more likelihood of the price continuing higher. All right. We also want to look for exhaustive patterns too and see kind of how this looks, if this is healthy or not. I know I highlighted this previously, where we did actually have just enough consolidation to allow for the next leg up. I prefer more than 4 hours of consolidation, but to each their own. So let's go ahead and take a look here and see what's going on. So simple moving averages are both below. We got this golden cross that just hit, which is awesome, but basically it just means that 76 cents will be the lowest point in which LRC should go, as well as the fact that we're up over 70 on the RSI. This is a point that I like to kind of bring up. 70 plus on the RSI on the 4 hour, to me, is disadvantageous. Oftentimes we see pullbacks. So this pullback here is pretty necessary, pretty standard. Just implies the fact that we got a 40 to 50% increase without correction for, moved up too fast, too quick. That's just kind of the bottom line. So albeit very good, we have a MACD convergence, but it is a little bit on the extreme side. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit larger of a pullback. But we have a Fibonacci retracement level here that it pretty much bounced off of at roughly 110. And that is essentially something that we got to wait and see if it holds or not. I know it sounds crazy to wait and see, but generally speaking, the next, the key level Fibonacci retracement line of 786 on momentous trends is usually a good hold. But oftentimes when you have this kind of increase, 0.618 or 0.5 are the two major Fibonacci retracement levels that we see, which implies that we could see in the range of 92 to 99 cents, or just say an even round number of $1. So 92 to $1 could be the price range we might see in the near future, pending, this doesn't increase from here, of course. Obviously, it's pretty obvious that that's going to happen. But generally speaking, one thing we want to take a look at really quick on the 4 hour and move on. We did get a reset here down to a 3, so we're only at a 2. So technically speaking, LRC has a tendency of hitting 9s, right? So we're at a 3. We have potential of, 7 more 4 hour candlesticks. Essentially, just say a 24-hour period of continuation to the upside. So there's more likely than not the price going to increase than decrease from here. But it does need to calm down because once again, this 8 hours, just say for those two candlesticks, that was a 50% increase in 8 hours. Way too much. When you think about it, you literally almost doubled, or half of a full double, 50% in a short amount of time, right? That's a lot of volume, a lot of push. So all good, but we got to make sure there's no dump, because again, if you're familiar with GameStop, there's been some pretty interesting trading techniques in the past with that. LRC is it's similar type of I guess you could say coin or type of environment, which could breed some type of result like that. Anyways, forget about the speculation there. Let's just go ahead and look at the technical data here. On the 1 hour time frame, this is something we also need to acknowledge. Even though the 4 hour looked like it was pretty extreme, this is even more extreme, whereas we have basically in only 4 hours we saw that 50% increase. That's a lot. So once again, consolidation here at 110 is imperative. We need to get the price to kind of consolidate and retrace and hold there. If we lose 110, just know that $1 is likely the next candidate. So I would say that if you're going to consider investing, and just say it's going to be like a type of day trade, for example, if you insist on getting in now without confirmation, get in at 110, but have a second entry target at $1, so you're only putting in 50% initially. That way you're not going all in one position. I do that all the time. When the price comes down, my community can speak to this here, that when I'm expecting the price to come down, you do a 50% entry and a 50% basically second entry. So the first one is at your desired point, so you get some skin in the game. The second one is at a lower point, just below or just above your stop loss, your trailing stop loss. Okay, so again, just something to think about, because the likelihood of it coming down is higher based on how hard it came up and just history of how Fibonacci retracement levels have a tendency of working. But it also has momentum and enough volume to potentially consider, or basically to potentially continue sideways or up from here too. So I know that's kind of conflicting information and it's not like definitive, but there's no true aspect of there's nothing 100% in trading. So that being said, big picture, the data so far here is telling us that we should probably consider leaving our position open, but also expect retracement. I don't think it'll come anything lower than $1. I think that should be probably the bottom line. So if we lose 110, then $1 will be the next potential target. Of course, the cloud's going to tell us we have a buy signal. It can be difficult to anticipate specific movements based on just such large volume in a short amount of time. So I always exercise caution when I see something like this. I wait for it to pull back, in most cases to 0.618 for the Fibonacci retracement level. So I do think $1 is more likely than 110. But heaven forbid that were to be the case, it's not the end of the world, right? You can just add to your position at a lower price point. Try not to FOMO in right now just yet. But also consider this as well too, because this is going to be a nice support channel here between 92 and $1, because you got the most recent high. It's going to work as a support level now. And then 0.618 is a common retracement level that prices have a tendency of coming down into. So the likelihood, again, of the price traveling into this zone is pretty high. And if it were to come down here, we'll see some significant support. So I do feel like 92 is the absolute bottom. $1 is potentially the most ideal time frame, or dollar point, dollar cost, whatever, for the price to hit. And then, of course, I'd say best case scenario, the price continues to maintain its price point at 110 and goes higher. So again, that being said, since there's no definitive line in the sand, and this doesn't really tell us a heck of a lot, the best strategy in situations like this is just to dollar cost average, add to your position as the price comes lower. If it doesn't come much lower, you at least got some skin in the game. So maybe consider adding to your position presently. And then, of course, adding more as it comes lower. just in case it weren't, just in case it were to, because you're more likely to see the price come down than it is to come up, at least in this regard, based on how overextended it is. Again, you look at history, you can tell that Loopring doesn't care. But I don't think you should. I think it'd be naive to think that we're going to see this again. Yes, LRC could pump again, but it hasn't had enough time to relax and retrace in order to leg up again. Okay, so again, I think we could see something similar to maybe this here, but I don't think we should expect a very, very large, $3 target for Loopring in the immediate future. Again, just basing this on overall sense of how coins have a tendency of responding to price action. Bitcoin's doing well, so as long as Bitcoin continues to maintain sideways action, then LRC will continue to do well as also. Okay. All right, so I'm so sorry if that was not super, again, definitive one direction or the other, but I can tell you that the likelihood of it coming down is a little further, is higher than it is to go up from here. We need consolidation. We need the price to go sideways, and at the very least, 1 or 2 days worth of consolidation at the 110 price point, and then we can leg up again. I don't want to see the price break 123 in the next 24 hours because I think that would be unfortunate because it'd be too much increase in a short amount of time without consideration for consolidation. Okay. Again, that's just kind of generally how things should work. Will LRC perform that way? Remains to be seen. We'll find out tomorrow. So we'll go ahead and cover this again. This will be on my daily for a little while to ensure we stay on top of it because I get so many requests. I may as well go ahead and cover it every single day for the moment. And we'll go from there. But I hope you found benefit. We'll go ahead and see what happens tomorrow and look forward to helping you out in the next steps. CryptoCache.tech is the website if you're considering becoming a community member. Once again, I look forward to getting to know you better. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for your time.